Welcome to VMblog's mega series. Today we're going to be talking on the topic of end user computing, and I have the pleasure of having Andrew Miller, who is the co-founder and CEO of Cameyo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I guess if we can just go ahead and kick things off, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of background information about Cameyo and what does the company look like going into 2022?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cameyo was founded in 2018, and we're what we call a virtual application delivery service, which essentially is a very simple, secure, cost-effective, and flexible way of delivering any application to any device from the browser. Cameyo is currently a global company, so we have customers all over the world, and we're working with large organizations as well as educational institutions. And essentially anybody, and I know we're going to dive into this a little bit later, but really the focus that we have is on organizations that really have never had the ability to have a Citrix or maybe a more expensive virtual desktop infrastructure or desktop as a service product. So for those companies that really need a very simple, and like I said, secure and cost-effective way to deliver these applications, Cameyo is the solution for them. Now, we do work, of course, with enterprises. Sanmina is a great customer of ours, our Fortune 500 customer. We have about a dozen Fortune 500 customers that we work with, et cetera. But our primary sweet spot are those organizations, again, that really have never had access to this type of service because it's just been a little bit too complex, too expensive, et cetera.
One of the big things in the EUC space is everybody always asks, is this the year of VDI? We finally here, have we reached that point? In your opinion, do you think VDI is dead? Is it evolving? Or do you think it's in decline in response to other competing technologies?
Definitely evolving. So is this the year for VDI? And yes, you're right. We do hear that quite a bit. Where we see the space going is everybody is moving to the cloud. And so what's happening is you've got a lot of Windows applications that are now web enabled. So more and more you're seeing fewer and fewer Windows specific applications that will only run on a Windows PC. So virtual desktop infrastructure that is focused on delivering those applications really is evolving, and it's evolving into what we call this virtual application delivery space that I mentioned before. And the difference between virtual application delivery and virtual desktop infrastructure is with a virtual application delivery service, you're not actually delivering the desktop. And so why is that important? It's really critical in terms of when you deliver the desktop, you're increasing complexity quite a bit. There's a lot of power that needs to go with delivering that desktop, and it also creates a lot of security concerns. And so for organizations, and by the way, it's really about 80% of applications out there, if not more, don't need a desktop. And so if the market is moving or the industry is moving in that direction, why continue to deliver a desktop? And the reason we hear most from organizations is, well, that's the way we've always done it. So as we think about the VDI, and is this the year of VDI? VDI in the traditional sense, no. VDI evolved into virtual application delivery. Absolutely. This is where everything is going. This is where organizations, and I'll tell you a little bit of a story about what we hear from our customers. And these are a lot of customers that are moving from established VDI players. And one of the things I always say is that we're not about beating up on competitors or anything like that. They have a different approach. They did really, they were very, very innovative years ago, but things have moved. Things are shifting. And with every type of technology, things shift. And so what we're hearing from our customers, especially customers that are moving from VDI over to virtual application delivery, is they're essentially saying we have outgrown VDI. And when they say, I always kind of stop them and say, well, what do you mean by outgrown VDI? And they said, look, when we implemented VDI 10 years ago, we had 100 applications that we were trying to deliver. There was a very, we had a very complex on-premises environment that we were delivering these applications. But since then, now we only have a handful of Windows applications that we need to deliver. We have since moved to the cloud. And so now what we need is a cloud native service that, again, as I go back to those pillars that I talked about earlier, that is very simple, very secure, cost effective, and flexible in terms of meeting that customer where they are. So in terms of, to answer the questions as straightforward as possible, I believe that VDI, this is the year for virtualization, but not necessarily the older VDI, but more towards virtual application delivery.
And traditionally, end user computing has been dominated by on-premise solutions.
Mm-hmm.
How has the cloud reshaped EUC, in your opinion?
I think it's transformed it. So as we are moving to the cloud, there's a lot of expectations that these virtual application, virtual desktop, desktop as a service, et cetera, are going to utilize cloud native features like elasticity and usage optimization, giving them the ability to spin up and spin down servers on demand based on resource demands, as opposed to having those servers running 24/7. If you can have those servers running 12 hours instead of 24 hours, that cuts your usage time and your usage bill in half, which is really critical. And with Cameyo, you also get things like usage optimization, which says, okay, in addition to elasticity, maybe my organization only uses these applications during business hours. So we're only going to have those servers on demand from, say, 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. And then they'll go into hibernation mode during those off-peak times. And then it takes about 30 to 60 seconds to access the application if somebody wants to access the applications off hours. But think about the cost savings that comes with that. With the old on-prem versions of virtual desktop infrastructure, you really couldn't do that. You were running those servers, that for 24/7, and in addition, that most of them are single session. So you're really having one user and one server. And so in that environment, you're running, if you've got 1,000 users and you've got 1,000 servers running, that's a lot of power. With Cameyo, because we're multi-session, we can get dozens and dozens of users onto a single server. So you're typically saving not just an infrastructure cost or licensing costs from Cameyo, but you're also saving in infrastructure as well, because you're able to cut your infrastructure in half by 50% or more. Sometimes we see it 70%.
And you touched on this a bit earlier, but how does Cameyo and your product lines specifically fit within the EUC space?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about, and especially as we go into hybrid work, right? We're there now, okay? And so the challenge for IT really is how do I deliver my applications, whether they be Windows legacy applications, SaaS applications, or internal web applications, to any device with the same experience, no matter if the worker is in the office or at home. And keep in mind, sometimes when you're at home, we don't all have the best Wi-Fi networks in the world, right? And so it's got to be delivered in a way where they're going to have the performances there, et cetera. And so that's where Cameyo comes in. So in a hybrid work environment, so Cameyo runs on HTML5. So it's just like streaming a video to your users. It's just like streaming a video in your home network. So if you can run Netflix or something like that, you'll be able to run these applications the same way you would there. So really, this has impacted, the hybrid work has really impacted everything, because the performance, the security, and the other part of the hybrid work is, again, I'll go back to security, is utilizing VPNs. So VPNs tend to be one of the worst ways to secure a network, because if you happen to be running an end user device that maybe has some things on it that shouldn't have, it connects into the VPN. Well, that end user device is now inside the network. With Cameyo, because of the security features that we have, something called Port Shield, which ensures that all of your ports are closed and only dynamically open when a user needs access, as well as cloud tunneling that sets up a proxy server in between the Cameyo server and the end user device. You no longer have to worry what's on that end user device. So you don't need VPNs, and you are truly getting zero trust security from a Cameyo type solution. And we're really the only ones that can offer that. So from all the things that an organization needs, performance being the same when they're at work in the office or they're at home. Security, they're obviously not going to need a VPN when they're in the office, but what about when they're not in the office? Well, with Cameyo, you don't need a VPN. And then of course you get the cost effectiveness, et cetera. And then on the flexibility side, where we're going to meet the customer, we're going to integrate with your authentication. So if you're using Okta or Ping or OAuth2 or Open Identity Connect, we're going to integrate with all of that. So you're essentially using your corporate credentials to log in. Then you have access to the applications. So we're not asking you to utilize another username and password. So when we think about zero trust, Cameyo fits very nicely into that zero trust model.
And are there specific problems that your customers are coming to you, or prospects, looking to Cameyo to solve?
Absolutely, and it's usually complexity. So if they're using an older VDI solution or a desktop as a service solution, it's usually complex, expensive, et cetera. And so what they're looking for is they want the same power, and Cameyo is actually going to be more powerful than those solutions. But because the way we're architected, again, multi-session, getting a whole bunch of users onto a single server, we run Windows terminal services. So when a session ends, everything is wiped from the server. And so if a hacker were to get into a session, they would be completely eliminated once that session ends. Usage optimization, elasticity. So we're solving all of those things that our customers are coming to us. It's an extremely simple way, and I can show you with a quick demo just how simple it is, but an extremely simple and easy way to get these applications to your users in a very, very short period of time.
Now, how are you different from your competitors? What would you say are some of the differentiating factors and from others in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I go back to the four pillars that I mentioned. So simple, secure, cost-effective, and flexible. And I've talked about security, I've talked about simplicity. Let me talk about the flexibility. So Cameyo runs in any environment. We have a fully hosted service that runs in Google Cloud. So if a customer wants us to manage everything, no problem at all. We also run in a hybrid environment or in an on-prem environment. So all the customer needs is a Windows Server 2016 or above. They install Cameyo, takes about 5 minutes, and then everything that we have is exactly the same. So everything is going to be delivered the same way, et cetera. In addition, again, on the flexibility side, we are going to meet that customer where they are. We're not going to tell them where they need to be, like maybe some of our competitors. If you want to run in Azure, no problem. If you want to run in Google Cloud, no problem. If you want to run you've got a server closet in your basement and you can spin up a Windows server on it, it doesn't matter to us. You want to run Okta or Ping or Google Authentication or Office 365, none of that matters to us because we're going to integrate with it. We're not going to tell you what type of database we're going to use. As a matter of fact, we are going to utilize the databases that you currently have in your infrastructure. It integrates with everything, and it's very seamless and very easy to do. So you can get up and running in just a matter of hours.
And lastly, before we go to a demo, how does your solution enable a shift to remote and hybrid solutions? And where do you fit in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I would say Cameyo excels in remote and hybrid work. In that remote and hybrid work, again, I go back to what I said before. The challenge is, from an IT perspective, being able to deliver the same experience to everyone, no matter where they are. And Cameyo does that. And I think it's a really good segue into the demo, because I can show you exactly what it's going to look like for the IT administrator as well as the end user.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you could show us a demo, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. So this is the Cameyo administrator. This is what the IT administrator is going to have access to. This feature right here is what we call our Cameyo for MSP feature. What it does is allow MSP, but also a lot of our enterprise customers also use it to manage different divisions, different geographies, et cetera. And what this does is allows you to manage if you're an MSP, all of your customers from a single console. So you don't have to set up a single console for every single customer. So what you're looking at here is, we're going to talk a little bit about how easy it is to get started with Cameyo. So there's two ways to run Cameyo. We have a fully hosted service, which again runs in Google Cloud, and we have a self-hosted service, which I'll talk about in just a second. To get started, if you want to trial a Cameyo, you're just going to come in here, you're going to select the closest data center to you. You can see it's global, and then you're going to click Create Now. And what that's going to do, it's going to create a Windows Server 2019 in Cameyo's Google Cloud account. And then, it takes about 90 seconds and you're ready to go. For our self-hosted customers, or customers that want to run in their own cloud environment or their on-prem environment, you're simply going to spin up a Windows Server 2016 or above in that environment, and then you'll install Cameyo on that server. And you just click Get Started, and it's going to open up a knowledge base article that's going to give you instructions on how to do that. It takes about 15 minutes. It's very easy to do. And our Cameyo support is always free. And so if you ever need any help from us, you just need to contact us and we'll help you there. So once you have that server set up, again, everything's very easy. You're ready to start installing your applications. And so the first time that you do this, this is all wizard based. So you're not going to have to go through the connecting as admin to the actual server itself. It'll walk you through it the first time. But once you have it all set up, this is the way you're going to access your Cameyo server. And what this is it's going to give you the ability to load your Windows applications onto this Cameyo server. And it's very, very easy to do. You're simply going to grab your install files and drag and drop them right into this little box, and it's going to load onto the server. In addition, we give you the ability to go out to the internet from the server itself. So if I wanted to I'll use something very simple just to show you how it works. But the vast majority of our customers are using business critical applications, your CRP, your CRM, your ERP, your EHR, et cetera. Those applications that users or that organizations are using to run their organization. So think about that. If any of these applications that these customers are using goes down, it's an impact to the organization. We have one very large energy company that uses Cameyo to deliver their billing app, and they know down to the dollar if that app goes down, they lose money, and so they have a lot of trust in Cameyo, and we've never let them down to date. So, and they're at about 1,000 users. So this is also a very scalable solution. So you saw there how easy it was to load that application. Again, probably everybody who's watching this has loaded an application onto a Windows PC. It was just exactly the same way. So if you've done that, you're actually qualified to run Cameyo. So one of the things we recommend is that you just quickly check it to make sure run it on the server. So everything looks great here. Then I'll go ahead and click out of that. I'll click out of the browser. And then what I'll do is go over to this Publisher Apps section right here. And then I'll scroll down and I'll look for the application that I just installed. There it is right there, Notepad++. I'm going to click Apply, and then I'm going to get a notification that says, hey, your application has been published. Go back to the admin console, go to Apps, and then we'll see that application is now here. It wasn't here before. We just loaded it on here in real time. Okay, so very easy to get up and running, very easy to install applications on the server. Now, to get the application to the end user, also incredibly simple. There's a couple ways to do it. One, you're just going to simply provide them with this URL. They click on the URL, and you can see here that it's going to load in a Chrome browser, but any HTML5, I'm using Chrome browser, but any HTML5 browser will do. You see this Cameyo logo, that would actually be your logo, the customer logo, etc. By the way, I'm on a Chromebook running a Windows application on a Chromebook in the browser. You'll notice the lockup here. So everything runs in HTTPS. So it's a very secure way to deliver. All of the things that I would expect to have from an end user perspective, like, Control X, Control V, Control B, printing, saving, et cetera. It's all, very easy to do. We integrate with your cloud storage. So if you're, using G Drive or OneDrive or anything, we're going to integrate with that so you can save and open files very easy. So that's one way to do it. But let me show you the way that most of our customers deliver Cameyo to their users. And this really goes to the hybrid work, remote work conversation that we were having. So you'll notice here, so one of the things I'll warn you about is I'm actually connected as an admin. So the end user, so this is the Cameyo portal. this is what the end user would see in terms of a digital workspace. So I'm logged in as an admin, so I'm actually seeing this blue section right here. And I'll, if I'm a end user, I wouldn't see this drop down for the Cameyo MSP. But essentially, everything else here is what the end user would see. And you'll notice it's not just Windows applications; it's your SaaS applications like your Team, your Zoom, etc. You've got GPU applications like an AutoCAD over here. And then this no VPN over here allows you to deliver your internal web applications to the end user. So the end user, just like they would on a desktop, they're just simply going to click on the icon and it's going to open up in the browser. Okay. And so again, this logo is going to be your logo as opposed to the Cameyo logo. And a couple things that we've done to make this very seamless for the end user, because this is the software version running in a browser. So say there's people out there that don't want to really run it in a browser, so you can actually lock them into full screen mode. We talked about the ability to not have the desktop. Well, you can actually have a couple of applications, cancel that, a couple of applications running in the same session. So this is what, if you're using an ERP or a CRM or an EHR app that needs to talk to another application seamlessly, this is the way that you're going to do it. And then you've got access to all of your applications down here in the toolbar. So this is an incredibly effective way to be able to deliver those applications. And as I mentioned, all of your applications are coming here. So if I have Office 365, they're simply just going to click on it. And our recommendation to users or to organizations is to use SaaS applications the way that they were meant to be used, right? So you can see there when I clicked on Office 365, I'm already logged into Office 365. My portal knew that, and so it just seamlessly logged me into that SaaS application. And that goes to any SaaS application. So, if you need to run Teams, there are a lot of organizations now that are saying, hey, we need to run Teams from behind our firewall. Well, why not run it the way it's supposed to be run in as a SaaS application? Then you get all the performance that you need, et cetera, et cetera. And so that, it really becomes powerful for the organization. So instead of trying to figure out how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that, the application runs the way it's supposed to run. So that's how easy it is to get started with Cameyo. That's how easy it is to publish applications with Cameyo and deliver those applications to your end users. One more thing I'll mention just real quick is we integrate with all of your permissions, and I mentioned authentication earlier. So the end user is only going to see the applications that they have access to. And it's extremely easy to get those applications to the end user. So as I mentioned, we're going to integrate with your Active Directory, with your groups, et cetera. So all you're going to do is just say, okay, this company one group is the only group that's going to get access to, say, Notepad, right? And once you click submit, they're going to be the only ones that get access. Showing it in the portal is very easy as well. So as you may have noticed that when I was at the portal just a second ago, Notepad wasn't there, and now it will be. So that's how easy it is to get things to the end user. So I'll stop there. I kind of went a little bit longer than I thought I would, but I wanted to give you kind of the full picture in terms of how simple it is, again, to get started, to load applications, to publish applications, and for the end user to access these applications.
Great, thanks for that great demo. Where can people go if they want to find out more information about Cameyo and some of the stuff you've talked about today?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way they can get in touch with us is by going to our website, which is just simply cameyo.com. We have a complete free trial, free 30-day trial. Just want to mention again that support is always free. We don't ever charge for support. We stand behind this. There's lots of case studies, et cetera, so you can learn a lot about Cameyo. In addition, we have a net promoter score. If you're familiar with that, we have a net promoter score of plus 70. So our customers really are pleased with the service. And again, we stand behind that service with free support.
Well, thank you for being part of our mega series, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more from our cloud technology partners, please hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to get notified next time we post a video, please hit the subscribe and the bell notification. Very important.